Welcome to In Touch with iOS. And before we get into this next episode, this is episode 79 coming up for our Christmas special. I wanted to just thank everybody for listening to the show these last year or two, and hope everybody's enjoying it. And I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas, has a wonderful holiday season. I'm going to be talking to you next year in 2020. I'm going to be going to CES, as I've mentioned, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So with that, happy holidays, everybody. Let's get into this next episode with co-host Warren Sklar and Chuck Joyner. Welcome to episode 79 of In Touch with iOS, a podcast that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies, plus tips, apps, and gear. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and my co-host is back this week, Warren Sklar. How you doing, Warren?
I am doing good on this pre-holiday show. Hope you're good too.
Yeah, it's pre-holiday. We'll be doing the show. This actually will air during the Christmas week. But I am delighted to have my returning guest, Mr. Chuck Joyner from MacVoices. How are you, Chuck?
I'm doing good, Dave. Thanks for having me.
No, this is great. This is the first time you've been on the show. I've got the co-host here, and I think this is going to be a lot of fun. A good amount of great topics to talk about today. It's getting a little slow with news. Yeah, I was pulling strings here to try to find some good topics here to talk about. But I think one of the good topics we're going to talk about this week is about CES and what your impressions are, because you've gone there for so many years, and this will be my very first year going, which I'm excited about. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. So let's go right into the topics for this week as far as news goes. First one caught my eye. This is on Mac Observer. Apple is working with a group to develop open standards for smart home devices. I was kind of pleased to see this. There's a project called Connect Home over IP wants to define a set of IP network technologies for device certification. And that's a thing. I always found with smart devices, they're just all over the place with what the devices are and what they're all available. What did you think, Chuck?
I want more information, David. I mean, this looks like a great thing, and certainly I think it's Zigbee, I believe. No, is it Z-Wave? I think Z-Wave has been out there trying to
Z-Wave.
Yeah, trying to standardize things, and of course, Apple's done its own thing. Amazon's done its own thing.
Right.
We'll see if this turns into interoperability. I mean, I don't think obviously we have security issues here. That right. Apple has been the champion for, and some of the others, let's just say, have not. So that's one of my biggest questions here is, okay, the standards are great, but does this mean I'll be able to say, hey, S-Lady to my Amazon device, or
right.
hey, A-Lady to my HomeKit devices? I just don't know. I think it's definitely a great step in the right direction.
Yeah, no, I agree. What do you think, Warren?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. I mean, the security aspect is mostly the issue, and the fact that you could buy, something from Belkin that works with HomeKit compared to something
right.
from Bolkin or Bulpy from Amazon from some country we never heard of that works with the A-Lady. That's Apple's not going to like that. So. It is a mess. I mean, I have all sorts of devices and I have all sorts of apps, which is a pain in the butt. You have to switch between to control them.
Right.
The A-Lady takes in most of them, a lot more than Apple does. So a lot of things you could combine into the Alexa app. But I mean, it would be great to just have the one app and them all working together in some kind of way. They tried with the if then that kind of program and tried to tie them in that way, but that doesn't really work as well as it should. So yeah, like you, I'm cautiously optimistic and hope it becomes a thing for sure.
I agree. Next story was more of a device. This was on The Verge. This Apple Watch charger can actually plug directly into a USB-C port, so you don't have to carry all your cords with you. Well, obviously, in the picture here is a picture of an iPad, and it's plugged into the USB-C port, but it's a little dongle port that it will charge your Apple Watch. and it hangs right off to the edge of your Apple of your iPad, so you don't have to bring your cords with you and charge it. Found this to be a little interesting, and has a cord, has other ways of charging, but it's pretty straightforward, and it looks like it's from Hitachi, which is a pretty big company when it comes to the electronic devices for iPhone, iPad. What do you guys think? Warren, what do you think? This thing looks pretty cool, I think.
I have the exact same thing on my keyring, but it's a USB-A port. So I use it. I keep it on my keychain, especially whenever you need to do an Apple Watch update. You need to find the chargers. So I usually go for that one. It works fine. Sometimes with the USB-A one, it's the problem is if you plug it into a hub or something, it's sometimes upside down. So you got to charge the watch on its face. So the USB-C port should fix that kind of thing. But yeah, get one of these, or if not the USB-A ones they have on Amazon. I mean, it comes in handy more than you would think it does, especially when you travel.
Chuck, these will be, I'm sure, many of these types of items we'll be seeing at CES. But what did you think? This is, I think, a pretty cool device.
Yeah, it looks great, and Satichi is a great name. I mean, your point, I've visited with them at CES a number of times, and they always make great stuff. And this is one of those devices that I would feel comfortable buying. I'm not sure I would feel comfortable buying it from a no-name company, but if they designed it, it's they've worked out any bugs that there are, and it's going to be well worth it.
Absolutely. So check that out. I'll link in the show notes, of course. Next story was on The Verge as well. Apple Arcade, which I'm not much of a gamer, but they are charging $4.99 a month for that service that came out back in November. They now are offering a $49.99 subscription option, which I think is smart. That's going to save a little money for those folks who want to have a subscription and not have to pay the full ride of for $5 a month. Chuck, what do you think? I know you're, like I said, I know you're not a gamer either, but I mean, again, it's a good, it's a tool a lot of people like.
Yeah, I kind of have mixed feelings about this. $4.99, I felt like $4.99 per month is kind of a throwaway. Yeah. It's the kind of thing that you see it on your subscription list or you see it on your credit card bill and you don't think anything about it. $49.99 is going to make people maybe look at it and say, gee, I wonder. So, and yet, if you're really into arcade, I think, or on the bubble, yeah, okay, this, I haven't done the math. But this takes it down to a per month cost of even cheaper. I just hope that people that were on the bubble about this don't look at this and say, "Hey, you know what? I didn't realize I was paying what was that turn into roughly $60, a year. Right. Now this will save me some money, but maybe I didn't need it in the first place." So,
true. Kind of the same thing with News Plus, where you just have to decide is it the type of service you really want. But yeah, what do you think, Warren?
Yeah, I mean, I had the trial, like most probably you guys did too.
Yeah, we all did.
I mean, there's nothing to complain about. They were fun. They were games. It was easy to use. It was, there was nothing wrong with it. But like a streaming service or a news service, there has to be a hook. There has to be one or two things that people could justify paying it as a game for it. And I don't think they got the buzz. I don't, my son's 16. I haven't heard him saying, "Oh, there's this game on Apple Arcade that I play all the time and it's great," and that spreads the word around. Yeah. So I haven't heard of anything like that. Kind of like the Disney Plus has the Mandalorian, which everybody talks about. So that's why it's kind of
everybody talks about that.
So they really, I think they really need a game that's kind of spread. But like Chuck says, when you start seeing it like as a yearly subscription, it looks like a lot. But some people, like my wife, will rather pay. She hates monthly. A lot of people don't like monthly costs, especially when they add up. So some like she'll pay more on a yearly subscription than less on a monthly subscription, just because she just doesn't want to have the commitment of having to pay for it again. So it's just a different way to go. But for $50. I don't. The one thing I don't know if you could cancel it, right? So if you with the monthly, you could
I would
cancel
think
it
you
any
could.
time. So what do you do? Do they give you back whatever?
Get credit.
You get the credit back. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I did it with Apple Music. I changed from just a single subscription to a family subscription, and because I had, when you get the single subscription, you can pay. I was paying ahead. I would pay $99 for the whole year for Apple Music, and that's a little less than what it is if you pay the monthly fee. But then I decided, I want to go with the family plan, because then my wife can now use her own. She can create her own playlist. She doesn't have to use mine, because we were sharing the same account. So they gave me a refund back for the whole thing, and now I'm paying the $14.99 a month towards it.
The only thing I could add is, sorry about that, is the Apple Arcade had a weird thing where I think if the music and the news, if you cancel, it's not instantaneous. Where the Apple Arcade, I think that if you cancel, you're not playing the next day. So I don't know if that makes any difference in that, but yeah. I mean,
we'll see.
Kids like it.
We'll see. All right. Last story. This is from our friends over at MacStories.net. Federico Rotucci came up with this amazing shortcut, the MusicBot. It's the all-in-one Apple Music Assistant. I am in love with this shortcut that he created. It just does amazing things. It pulls out your playlist, curates artist spotlights. I mean, I could just go on and on. I know this got posted on MacVoices, the group and Facebook for you, Chuck, and that's how I found it. And my gosh, I just can't believe what this thing can do and really curate a lot of your music really easily. What did you think, Chuck?
I haven't had a chance to play with it. I downloaded it immediately. I mean, it's Federico did it. So what are you going to do? You got to try it. And I'm like, you got to
try Federico, yeah.
But the thing here is, it's all built on shortcuts. I mean, that to me is the fascinating thing about it. And I'm looking forward to digging into this a little more. So far, I look at it and it's like, how did he put this together? It's not just necessarily like just one or two shortcuts, but it's so many different things, and they seem to interact with each other at certain levels. It's just, just go and try it and be blown away by it.
Oh, absolutely. It won't hurt anything if you try it, and it's a shortcut. So, did you try this at all, Warren? At all?
Yeah, when you guys posted it, I put it on there. Play with it for a little bit, not a lot. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because when you look at the shortcuts, the source code, shortcuts is supposed to be nice and easy and not complicated. You look at this thing and it's just like programming. it's pretty involved. So
it's intense. That's what I say. That's what's great about Federico and his shortcuts. He just has so many great shortcuts out there that we don't have to come up with any of them, and gives him that opportunity to offer it to us for free in most cases. So
yeah,
it's pretty awesome.
And I tested, the one thing I tested that worked well was play on a speaker. I think you could tell to play on a different speaker if you're playing through your phone, and that worked really well. So it's props to him, man.
Yeah, I feel like it doesn't necessarily do anything you can't do without it. It just aggregates things together and puts them in a nice little control, almost a control surface kind of environment, and that's what makes it so great.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes a great thing. But check it out. We have a link in the show notes, of course, off to his site, and you can download it real quickly, like Warren just did not too long ago to do that. So great stuff. So that's the news. Let's move on to the topics this week. And I thought, we're almost about a week and a half, 2 weeks away from Consumer Electronics Show. As I mentioned at the top of the show, this is going to be my very first time going to the show. I am actually beyond ecstatic and excited, and I can't wait. And I know I'm probably saying this, and then when I get there, I'm going to see all the walking and all the tiredness I'm going to experience when I'm there. But you know what? That's okay, because it's worth it, because there's so much great technology to take a look at, and not necessarily iOS and we talk about here, but we're just opening clear things up here a little bit. So Chuck, you've been going for how long now? You've been gone for, gosh, probably a long time.
Not as long as you might think. I think this is my 6th or 7th year.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
I thought it was longer.
Well, come to think of it now, when did Macworld go? So I started the year after Macworld went on hiatus. Because there was just
2010 maybe.
Yeah, so maybe it has been longer. I mean, there was just no way to do them both, and a lot of times they overlap.
Right.
And so I felt like this started out as sort of a poor replacement in my schedule for Macworld, and it's slowly grown on me, and it's grown because of Apple's growth. That if at the very least, a whole lot of the things that are there have iOS apps of some kind that interface with them. So that opens it up right there and makes a lot of the electronics more interesting to an Apple user like all of us. So
yeah, CES just released, in fact, today their app, because I was getting itching to download it. They hadn't had the 2020 version yet, so it's on my phone today. I've already started exploring all the different sessions are going to be available. What are some of the sessions that you've enjoyed in the past, and what do you think you can anticipate upcoming this year, coming up in 2020?
I've gone to a few of the sessions, David. I usually don't hang out in the sessions. I usually hit the show floor, because inevitably the sessions, and taking nothing away from them, but they're there to address things that, while I would find them very interesting, they're not the best use of my time. So I'll probably pop into a couple. I mean, there was one. There was one a few years ago that was done by one of the government. I can't think of the even title, for heaven's sake. The government's information czar back then. Penn and Teller.
Penn and Teller
did a session, and that was fascinating about. I recall that his point was that you didn't know a lot of the old movie stars and TV stars beyond a certain time period back, but everybody knew the Three Stooges, and
of course,
and he was making the point that some things have a different longevity, and especially from the video standpoint, and just anything you can think of, any angle you can think of, there's going to be a discussion here. One of the big news pieces I'm sure you've talked about on previous sessions, David, is that one of Apple's heads of security is going to be participating in a round.
Yes,
and that's something
that I've got on my schedule. I'm going to make sure I see that one.
Good. Yeah, that's one I might make an exception for, because it looks very interesting.
Yeah. So, so you generally would go to the show sessions, you do the show floor. I mean, it's just it's insane. It's spread across 4 different locations up and down the strip. I mean, do you spend the majority of the time at the convention center, or do you go up into the other areas when it's not the booths that you visit?
It depends on I will hang out a lot on the show floor. Sometimes the suites, companies that are on the show floor have suites. Now it is literally up and down the strip, so it kind of depends on who's exhibiting what and how they're showing. And one of the biggest problems is you don't want to waste all your time trying to run between hotels or
it takes forever
venues. Yeah, it's crazy. It's gridlock. And of course Vegas is a city that it's fun to walk, but you don't get anywhere terribly fast. So
no, especially with 150,000 people.
100, I think actually it's more than that. This projected
is it like 200,000 almost.
It's getting there. It's getting there, and as you said, acres of show floor, acres and acres of show floor, and then hospitality suites and presentations and theater presentations, and it's just I didn't believe the. Couple friends told me that you just can't believe how big it is. And it's like, yeah, right. Until you go, and then you really can't believe. There's just no way to do it all.
And I have to put that mindset in place, is just kind of focus on, mostly iOS stuff. I want to find out more to bring back for our show. But what kind of things are you anticipating to see new that'll be new this year? Do you have any predictions of what there can be any new things that are going to be discussed, or something that's going to be coming out, or?
looking at all the press releases and everything, I think machine learning is going to be big again this year. Digital health is just going to continue to expand. Everybody and his brother is bringing out wireless earbuds of one kind or another.
Yeah.
And so, and it's like at some point, guys, I think maybe unless you can show me something brand new, that ship has sort of sailed. If you can bring them in cheaper, great. But they're not going to be part of the Apple. They're not going to work like the AirPods, and so that's going to be a shot against them for me. Apple now has taken on the noise canceling people with noise canceling earphones or AirPods. So there's one other differentiator gone. Beyond that, you just never know. I mean, you round the corner or turn a corner on the show floor, and you just never know what's going to be. There's stuff that, sometimes the press releases don't do the best job of explaining things. So I've been by booths that looked like mildly interesting, and then I get there, find out what they're doing, and it's like, this should have been like number 1 or 2 on my list. So
yeah. And that's what's unique, and all the interviews you did this past year and every year previous. It's just you never know who you're going to interview, right? Is that really where it comes to? Because like you said, you're walking the show floor, you see something that looks interesting, that would be good for your audience, and then you grab someone to interview, right?
Sort of. I mean, that was the way I did it the first year because I didn't know what I was getting into. Since then, I've learned, the best thing to do is do your homework and try to figure out, okay, what day or what half day am I going to be in which hall, and try to make sure that I hit, pick my targets, but leave a little room for the surprises, for the walk-ups and like, hey, how you doing? Oh yeah, I think I remember seeing something, or I didn't know anything about you. Tell me about it. And I've gotten some of the best interviews that way.
You really have, yeah. I mean, and I always tell people to go check out MacVoices and see all the interviews he did for the 2019 CES, and it's going to continue on here for 2020. Anything else? I'm going to be doing a lot of learning, no question about that. I mean, learning about technology, and that's the reason what motivated me to go, as well as hanging out with all you guys too. It's always going to be fun because we'll be having probably some fun dinners and and other things. But I think it's just going to be an interesting experience, and I definitely am looking forward to it. I don't know if anything else you can think of as far as what people would like to hear about as far as CS goes.
No, it's. I think it's tough to remember that this is an industry trade show. It is not an exhibition, so it's not open to the public. I mean, there are ways you can get in, and you can buy a ticket if you don't mind paying an exorbitant price. But it's not a place where you're going to go. You can't go to buy because they don't sell.
No.
Half the stuff, maybe a little bit. No, what am I saying? Probably more than half the stuff will never make it to market, especially in Eureka Park, which is the area for a lot of startups and prototypes and all. But sometimes that's the place you get the coolest stuff, or you get some of the most forward-thinking people. And you see, if they don't make it back, next year or the following year, maybe their ideas make it back, and that's kind of the best part too.
Yeah. So sorry to keep you quiet, Warren. Anything you can think of? I know you want to go into CS after you've heard us talking about this, right?
Sitting here being jealous and I'm living vicariously through you guys at this point. So, it's on the bucket list. But I would love to go. So I'm looking forward to what you guys think. And I love Vegas, so I have no problem going to Vegas.
We all do.
No problem. We were just there a couple months ago, but
me too.
Definitely someplace I want to be. One day.
Are you? Is there any technologies that have been out there that you're hoping that you're hoping that's going to be talked about during CES?
Nothing that I'm hoping. I'm guessing a couple things of what Chuck said sounds right to me. Maybe
AI and
something with 5G. Maybe they'll start figuring out what to do with the 5G and making some use of it. Because,
I bet that's going to be a big topic at CES. I would imagine because
right now, I mean,
that's
Yeah, there's not a lot of talk about what we're gonna do with it. You know, you hear some terms like maybe with self-driving cars, it's gonna help and things like that. But you know, for the normal consumer, you know, what am I gonna do with 5G on my iPhone when it comes and things like that?
Okay. All right. Well, I look forward to it, Chuck. You're going to have to give me some homework because I have to start doing some homework. So I'm ready to find the best things to grab. I know it's impossible, but I've done a little bit of homework, but I think I have a little more to go here to be ready. So
the best thing you can do, David, is to take that app that you downloaded and start going through the exhibitor lists, and
that's what I'm doing.
Tick them off and say, okay, what do I want to do and where are they located? And then plan your day, because the first couple of times I went, in hindsight, I wasted a lot of time just wandering around, kind of awed by everything. And it really helps if you can have a target or 2 or 10 or 20 to make your time more efficient.
Hopefully it's stuff I can find that relates to iOS. That's what I want to. That's my interests and Apple, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty of it out there. So we'll see, and definitely you'll be hearing a lot about CES on Chuck's MacVoices, as well as future episodes here on In Touch with iOS. So we'll look forward to it. Gosh, a couple weeks. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing you too, of course. Let's go ahead and move on, and we'll talk on another topic here. I wanted to mention a little bit about HomeKit. Do you guys have any HomeKit devices in your house right now, Chuck? Start with you.
Yeah, I have a couple HomePods. I guess the main things I have. What else do I have? I have a couple of the Elgato devices too. So.
The Eve Energy.
Yeah. Yes, that's right.
So,
yeah.
So you got some plugs, and but you don't have a thermostat.
I don't have a thermostat. No, haven't gone that direction.
Okay. Yeah, I was waiting for a while, and I decided to take the dive in, and I decided to go with an Ecobee, only because it has HomeKit capabilities. Because as you go with the Nest, you're stuck in the Google world. So that's what I did with the thermostat. Warren, how about you with HomeKit? Do you have any HomeKit devices that
Yeah, definitely.
that have been sticking out for you?
Yeah, I have a couple. We have a Nest, obviously, so that doesn't work with the HomeKit, but it works well. August Lock.
Still got the app.
Yeah, the app works, and it works with the A-Lady too, which is good. I have an August Lock, which works with HomeKit. So we have a beach house by the Jersey Shore. So we don't rent it out as of right now, but basically we monitor it. So it's very HomeKit with security cameras. I got the August Lock. I have the Nest cameras. I got cameras everywhere, things like that. But it's kind of neat because with HomeKit and I have an Apple TV in there as a hub, so I could kind of, as we're driving up, say, "Hey, Essie, open up the front door," and when I get there, the door is open. So that's neat. But that's mostly it. I mean, I have a lot of A-Lady stuff, but not a lot of HomeKit type of stuff. Just a quick note: my house here, not the beach house, cannot accept any smart thermostat other than one branded from Carrier, because it's some kind of Carrier Infinity air conditioning system. It was a horrible decision 9 years ago before anybody even knew what was a smart thermostat was going to be. It has something to do with it has something to do with the wiring and then the zones. It's very confusing. So you could go on their website and buy something, but it's like stupidly expensive and not good.
So what I decided to do is I went with Ecobee. And Ecobee has been talked up pretty good. The nice thing about the thermostat was the fact that not only this in the Chicago area through our electric company ComEd, they're offering a $75 instant rebate for the thermostat, which was pretty cool. So I figure, well, let's go to Home Depot, check it out, and see what they got. And I ended up going with the Model 4, which has got the smart sensors. So the sensor, you can get separate sensors for the thermostat, and you can put them, just set them on tables or shelves all around the house, and it'll measure all the humidity and temperature around each room on every level of your home, which is kind of neat. So at first I thought I was going to go ahead and install it myself, and I tried. that I kind of crashed and burned there, but I got it installed to the point that then I realized that as I'm looking through the instructions, and by the way, Ecobee has amazing instructions. They have an app. They tell you to download the app on your iPhone right away, and you just go through the steps right from the app. There's videos that are built in there to show you how the wires look and what you should be looking for. So as far as the installation process with Ecobee was just pretty superb. But it does require one is the most important wire. It's called a C wire. And C wire, what that is it creates a lot of. It's for power, so it has to have direct power, to send the power down to your furnace and your air conditioner. Well, that for some reason, I have a very old furnace, so I have a 35-year-old plus furnace, so it's old. So, but it apparently still had that wire because there was a wire in there that had been just tucked away from the previous thermostat. So I said, I don't know if I really want to go down exploring and start playing with wiring in my furnace. So I said, I'm going to go and hire a professional to do this. So sure enough, I was able to do that. In fact, they called me on I called them on a Monday. They called me and they said, "Oh, we have some time today if you want to have someone to come out." So I was able to get it done, right quick. And sure enough, he was able to get that working. And I'm pretty amazed. I'm pretty amazed what it can do. The temperature is controlled right from your phone or from S-Lady too. S-Lady, you just tell her to set the temperature at a particular temperature, and she'll do it. So, which is just absolutely impressive in itself, being able to do that without any fail. So, but I definitely recommend checking it out. I also have other outlets like you guys too. I have the Belkin and a couple of those other brands, and it's been great too. What do you think, Chuck? I mean, I think you should get a thermostat in your house now.
David, there are certain devices that I'm still not completely comfortable going with because of hacking issues and security issues. And frankly, a thermostat is one of them. You and I both live in cold parts of the country. And if the thermostat were to go wrong at the wrong time when I wasn't home, it could be kind of devastating. Now, you can tell me that could happen with a normal thermostat or the power going out.
Sure.
Yeah. But I just am not quite there yet. So I'm giving it a little time. Smart locks are sort of the same thing. Too many opportunities for hacking. Yeah. So I've looked at the Ecobee. I've heard Dave Hamilton recommend it a lot.
Yep.
Just not quite there yet.
Okay. All right. And any other HomeKit? There are other things I've been exploring too. I don't know if I'm so big into the bulbs. They have those Hue bulbs and such. I don't know what your thoughts were on that.
Oh, I've got a lot of those, a number of those, and I've absolutely.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
okay.
I absolutely love those. The color changing ones, they're fun to play with, and in certain environments they can be fine. But the ability to walk in and be able to tell whichever device, depending on how you have it set up, to turn this room on, turn the bedroom on, turn the bedroom off, set the lights to 50%. In the case of the color ones, of course, it's the color if that's something that you're really into. But yeah, it's a huge convenience. It's probably the thing that I use the voice control the most for, outside of direct commands to my iPhone with Siri.
Okay. So check it out. I have all the links in the show notes about what I talked about, especially Ecobee. I think it's well worth it. The HomeKit I was having a little bit of a challenge to get it set up. At first, I'm trying. First off, you're thinking you got to search for the HomeKit code because the code changes. Well, it depends on the device, I guess. For the good thing with thermostat, when you get an outlet, it has a fixed code that's a label on the device. So that code is always going to be the same. With thermostat, I come to realize as I'm looking around the box, I go, wait, I guess the buried instructions. Well, it senses it as soon as you bring your iPhone up to the thermostat, and then the HomeKit code barcode will come up, and then you scan it, and then it'll install itself into HomeKit. So that's good in the sense of the security part of it, because it didn't work right away. So then I went and did it again, and the code was completely different. So you're attesting of security. I think that's a good thing in itself, Chuck. That that they do that, for security purposes.
Yeah, and listen, again, I'm not a card carrying paranoid. Well, maybe I am. I'm not sure.
No.
But there are just some things that if I need to be really comfortable that I'm not creating a potential bigger problem than I am. The lights, if the lights come on when I'm not home, that's not going to bother me because they're LEDs. They're not going to get too hot or anything. If the thermostat should malfunction again at the wrong time of the year, you could have a whole lot of issues that I don't want to go down that path.
Sure. So, all right. Well, that's it about HomeKit. That was we got a good discussion on that. Got a couple tips here, and we might make this a short show this week, only because it's Christmas and everybody wants to get back to their families and want to listen to Christmas music and all that stuff. But there was one amazing tip that I did not know about, and I posted that in MacVoices group if you hadn't seen it yet, Chuck. But this is a tip on how to take a screenshot with your iPad using the Apple Pencil. Did you see this?
I think I saw it somewhere, but I did not see your posting, but I saw it somewhere and I thought it was interesting, but it didn't really, since I don't have an Apple Pencil, it didn't apply to me.
You don't have a pencil. Okay, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, no pencil.
Oh, I'm the only Apple Pencil guy here? Oh my God, then I'm talking like Greek here. Well, I thought it was cool. It was interesting that Apple support actually tweeted it on Twitter. And basically what happens is you take your Apple Pencil and let's say you're on a web page and you go down to the far bottom left of the corner of the screen. You tap it and drag up, and what it does is it just automatically brings you in screenshot mode. It takes the screenshot, and then from there it gives you all the editing tools and all the markup tools and anything you want to do, including you could switch and do the full page capture like you could do with screenshots as it is anyway on iPhone, but in this case, it was using a pencil, and it was pretty cool. We're linking to show notes on this, and there's an actual video on Apple's Twitter, Apple support Twitter homepage on how this works. So makes me want to have a pencil still.
You can't do that with the finger. I saw the video, but if you try it with the finger, it doesn't do it.
I don't think so. I haven't tried. I don't know if
just
swiping it from the bottom here and try it here.
Yeah.
Let's see if it does it. I don't think so. No, because it's going to grab the dock when you do it.
Right.
So the pencil grabs that corner.
As tempting as it is, I don't know if I'm going to buy a pencil.
I know to have a pencil. Yeah.
Otherwise,
I've always loved the pencil.
I make stick figures. I'm not very artistic, so that's kind of why I'm not getting a pencil there.
Warren, your stick figures probably look much better than my stick figures. That's how bad it is.
I don't know. We could have a stick figure fight, I guess, but my stick figures are very basic, I guess. Sometimes I don't even get the amount of limbs correct, so you might be right.
And then I have another tip I wanted to talk a little briefly about is how to hide photos on your iPhone. Do you guys ever want this actually will probably be as good for when Allison Sheridan takes your phone, Chuck, and wants to look at your photos and you need to hide some so she doesn't put stuff on it, right?
I'm not giving Allison my iPhone under any circumstances.
I think you need to hold on to it from going forward here. She doesn't grab it. How to hide photos on your iPhone using the Photos app. And the way you do this is you have to go into the Photos app to open it up. Then you tap the photo or multiple photos. When you go into the Photos app, you actually can tap it and select a couple of photos all at once. Then you tap the action box, and that's the square with the arrow coming out of it, of course, bringing up with that. And then in iOS 13, you're going to swipe up, and then the list of options will come up there. And then what you do is you pick hide. It's in the smart sheet. And then when you tap hide, it's going to hide the photo. It'll still be there. It's just when any prying eyes are looking at your photos, might be something a little sensitive you don't want to see. That tip will definitely keep things hidden, and you will no longer see those photos. I don't know did you guys know that?
How do you get them back? How do you unsee them? How do you see them again?
The way you do that is you can when you unhide them, you tap into albums, and then you swipe down to other albums, and there's a section there called hidden. So then when you see that, you'll tap the photos that you want to unhide, and then from there, you tap unhide, and then they're back in view.
So hopefully the person who wants to see the hidden pictures doesn't know about your tip to find them in the hidden area.
That's true. That is true.
I did not know about that. That's interesting.
Me neither.
Yeah. That is true. So there's always new things we learn about here on In Touch with iOS when it comes to these things. And yeah, this was a good tip with that. So, guys, did you have anything else you would think of you want to bring up before we wrap things up here? Chuck, I know we'll look forward to CES. Anything else you think of?
Looking forward to CES. Just looking back at I don't want to do a retrospective.
Oh yeah, let's
2019.
2019. Let's talk that real briefly. I didn't think of that.
It's been a good year. We've seen Apple make good on some representations. The Mac Pro obviously is one. The MacBook, the new MacBook Pro looks great. Still haven't ordered one, but I think it's definitely in my. Coming,
Mr. Warren has it.
Oh, Mr. Warren has it. Oh, shoot.
And I have the 2019 model that I should have waited and not bought.
That extra 1 inch really, it does. It's not even an inch. The extra half of inch really makes it for me.
Well,
it's nice.
Yeah, and the idea of being able to put 64 gigs of RAM in to a laptop, is huge for me. But it's huge. And as we should, I need to look. Okay, I'm not sure Apple hit a brand new high today, but it's right up there bumping around at it.
281, 82, yeah,
280.02 with today's close as we recorded this. So clearly, the naysayers about Apple, they still continue to peddle their stuff, and AirPods were the number one requested gift by the kids this year. So you just look at all the things that are happening good for Apple, and you look at how many people are criticizing things, and I don't know. It just I feel like people find reasons to criticize Apple and they don't have to all be cheerleaders like at least two or the three of us are here. But I think you have to recognize that they do so many things right, and they don't compromise on their values, and that's hugely important going forward in the world today.
Yeah, I did a review of the AirPods Pro. As you see, I have them in my ears here, and and I absolutely love them. I think it was a smart move on Apple's part to tap into the noise canceling market, because I would always, and I'm sure have them too, is that you're carrying your Bose headphones when you bring them on a plane, and you look around, that's all you ever see is everybody has their Bose headphones. Well, I had these on the day they came out, and I flew to Vegas that weekend, and I was able to firsthand try them on a plane, and I'm telling you, I could travel without my Bose headphones at this point. I mean, I think what Apple really did an amazing job with noise canceling and these. So that was definitely a revolutionary release this year. I think I can look back too is the iPhone, the iPhone 11 Pro and 11 Pro Max, the camera. We just had Frederick Van Johnson on the last show, and I just sat and talked about how great that camera is, and he even told me that he. As everybody listened, you guys hadn't heard it yet, but that he was on a trip to Hawaii and he did not bring a DSLR with him. He used his iPhone exclusively as his primary camera the whole time on his trip. Wow! So I think there's some revolutionary changing of the guard with comes to the cameras. Point and shoot cameras are when you told that to the millennials and the younger people, they're like, "What is that?" At this point, it's just because where these smartphone cameras have come, right? And I'm sure you can attest to it. You have the 11 Pro, and I'm sure you're loving what the photos you're getting out of it.
It does great. The only thing that, and this is the nature of all of them, is you don't have that zoom that you need if you're trying to shoot something that's farther away. And so as a result, I'm still playing with external lenses, and sure. what Apple gives you definitely is better. But just there are physics and optics involved that are going to prohibit that from going much farther. On the other hand, the computational photography advances are such that maybe we will find a way to make the what you and I think of as digital zoom, and that's sort of a dirty phrase to photographers. Maybe they can make it so that it becomes a lot more acceptable.
Yeah, for sure. Warren, did you have anything for 2019? What did you think with Apple and what they've done this year? So
Yeah, it was the year of the services. When it first started out, the year it was going to be all the services, and a lot of people were like, Apple's not going to be a hardware company anymore, and they're just selling these services. And I think Apple was really smart to end the year with a bang on the hardware side, and I think that was purposeful between the new MacBook and the Mac Pro. Just kind of remind people that they're not just going to be a service company and they are committed to the hardware. But from the services side, not all of them were home runs, but I have the Apple TV Plus subscription I got with my Pro phone, and I like
mine as well.
Yeah, my wife and I are almost done. We'll be done tomorrow with the morning show and the For All Mankind show. And we we definitely kept our interest enough, and I think they were smart to keep the price down, very down on the shows until they get some more stuff. And the word's starting to get out, especially on the morning show. That word's actually getting out. Like kind of the killer show, and it's not for everybody, but it's good. And Apple Music, as far as the service, has always been good for me, and I keep on that. I have the News Plus because my wife, I told you before, was a Wall Street Journal online subscriber. And while you don't get everything with the News Plus subscription for the Wall Street Journal, you get most of it. And it turns out to be cheaper than the subscription directly to a newspaper. So, other than the video games, the Apple Arcade, I got them all, and been pretty happy with it. So I think Apple's going definitely in the right direction. I think it's going to keep the money flowing, and I think that's the goal. So it's a good year. I look forward to what to do with Apple TV and next year, and certainly can't wait to trade in my crappy 2019 16-inch MacBook for the 2020 16-inch MacBook.
Oh my God, Warren, you crack me up. You get the newest things ever. I thought I was bad.
It's a disease.
It really is. It really is. Every time we talk and every time I see you on the Mac to the Future board, you are just always posting something you got new.
I got a problem. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you do. Chuck, have you done anything with Apple TV Plus? I know you obviously got a free subscription too with your phone.
Yeah, I've watched the morning show. I'm a number of episodes behind, as they release, but I've watched the morning show. I've watched C and For All Mankind. And For All Mankind, I really wasn't surprised that I enjoyed it. I think that it's so well done. C has not grabbed me the way I thought it might, but as far along as I am, I'm starting to appreciate it a little more. But the surprise one for me was the morning show, because I tried.
I was too.
Yeah, I tried 2 episodes, and I really didn't expect to have it grab me. But again, it is so well done. The acting is so well done, and it's engaging, and something that I think a lot of us I know I was concerned about. Maybe no one else was, but there seemed to be in the press such a focus on Apple. They want to be family friendly, and they want to hold that standard. And okay, that's admirable, but I'm not sure that in today's commercial market that really can be done. And if anything, man, the morning show showed you that they weren't afraid to hit some tough language and some very sensitive subjects and keep on going. And I think that's great, because I think it just made Apple TV much more viable and much more it's much more probable that it can and will continue to be the success that it seems to have been already.
Yeah. And they've got Golden Globe nominations. Who would have thought? So they might even get Emmy. Who knows?
Yeah.
So that show is. I think I've watched all the episodes. I don't know if there's only one more left, or I'm not sure if
there's one more.
There's So tomorrow's as we record this, that's the last one of the series. So there's 10. There was 10 episodes then.
Yeah, it's
There were 10 episodes of that show. So.
Definitely a finale on that one and Mankind. I think definitely are the finales tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't get into I need to get into Mankind again. I started watching it and I was getting sleepy. So maybe I'll give it another shot. And
in the middle of the but in the middle, episodes 5 and 6 and 7 kind of got a little bit, sleepy. Inducing.
Okay.
But
this is episode 1, so.
It got better on 2 and 3. I mean, with the concept of the show, you got to wonder how far they could take that, So, all know the concept that the Russians got to the moon first before we did. But, after the first episode, it's like, okay, well, they got there first. What else can do? But it's kind of interesting. They continue to try to push the space race kind of with themselves at that point, so it's kind of neat to see.
And
we've got a lot to look for. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, no, and I mean Warren's point is interesting because I'm kind of like him. I wondered, and they seem to go past that so quick, but then we started getting into the social issues. Women astronauts and all, and I think it's going to be real interesting because it's turning a little bit less into the Russians got to the moon first, or a new space race, into almost an alt history kind of thing. And that opens it up to be just about anything you want it to be.
In a sense, there was a lot. It's turning very Apple-ish at that point because it's like, with the women astronauts and there's a couple shows with the minorities and in space and things like that, and it's kind of it is an alternate history, and I think it's an alternate history that Apple as a forward-thinking company would like to see or like to have happened. It's very it's very PC to say back in the 60s where women and minorities were not allowed to do much of anything are now doing pretty much everything that men are doing, might be doing. So. It's kind of a utopia in the 60s, and it's kind of neat.
Yeah, agreed.
Yep. Agree. I definitely agree. Well, and we got a lot to look forward to in 2020. I mean, I can't believe we're going to a new decade next year. I know Apple's going to have even more exciting stuff. Of course, all the rumors are already saying new iPhones, and I think iPad is way overdue, so we'll probably see a new iPad next year, I would bet. And who knows whether we'll go with Apple TV and the Apple Watch, of course. And so that's what we love with all of our Apple products, and we look forward to a great 2020.
So next year, we're going to have our goggles or Apple glasses on. We're all going to be looking at each other with the glasses this time.
Yeah.
Next year, I'm pretty sure.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
We'll see. It's going to be interesting technology, that's for sure. Yeah. So let's wrap things up. Chuck, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you and where they can find all your great work.
You can find pretty much everything over at MacVoices.com, audio and video there. And you can, as David mentioned, we have Facebook group and Facebook page, and you can find me on Twitter as @ChuckJoyner. Thanks for having me, and have a great holiday.
Oh, yeah, you have a great holiday as well. And I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and Happy Holidays, depending on what you celebrate, because you are listening to this show right around the Christmas holiday, and hoping everybody had a great holiday and enjoy everything that there is to do with your family and with your friends. So, and we'll be back next year. So, let's wrap things up here. So, for this is a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter @intouchwithios. You can subscribe in your favorite podcatcher, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, and iHeartRadio. Or even better yet, go to our website, intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the places to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Twitter @DaveG65. Thanks, Chuck, and thanks, Warren, for being here. I really appreciate it.
Happy holidays.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Happy holidays to everybody, and we will see you in 2020, and we'll talk again soon.